Hey everybody, welcome to another video. Today I will be talking about Yakuza 0. I finished playing the game last night, and I thought I needed to write up a script real quick for this so I could make a video about it. So, going straight into it, this is my first Yakuza game that I've played, so I don't really have a whole lot of experience outside of, this at all, just like little things I've seen from people I knew who had played it, but like I didn't like go in knowing like the whole plot or anything. So like essentially just like a couple jokes I knew, and a couple songs, but other than that, like I knew pretty much nothing about the plot other than there were these two guys, Kiryu and Majima, but that's about it. All right, moving forward. The overview of the plot goes as follows. I'm not going to go too in-depth, just to give like a little basic outline for how it starts. So, it starts out with Kiryu is collecting debt for a debt collector, and he roughs him up and leaves him in this like plot of land. And then the next day, the guy's just dead there. And he knows that he didn't kill him, he just roughed him up. But he knows that someone's framed him for it, and so he has to go and find out who has framed him for it. It just leads into this massive power struggle with the Yakuza. So that's like the basic plot overview of just the beginning. So for its gameplay, there's like 5 things I want to talk about. The first of which is that I know I talked about Kiryu, but there's also parts of the game which you have to play as Majima because it's like the 2 main characters. So just keep that in mind that like there are 2 of them. Other than that, I'd like to explain the combat gameplay. So each character, either Kiryu or Majima, has 3 different styles of fighting. And they generally, 2 of them are about the same for each, just like minor differences, and one of them is completely different. So Kiryu has like his regular, like sort of like boxing fighting style. Though it's similar, but it's not exactly like that. And he has a rush style, which just makes him very faster when evading. And then a, beast style, which just allows him to pick up anything near him and just kind of like swing it everywhere and like hurt everybody. That's my favorite one, by the way. That one's great. And in Majima, it's much of the same. He has like that standard boxing one. His one that makes him a little bit quicker when he's for evading, but like not as powerful hits. And then instead of having like a beast mode where he just picks up anything near him, he has a slugger mode where he just pulls out a baseball bat, where he can. That's what it is at first, but you can change it to other weapons later. But I actually never changed it, so I just used the baseball bat for the entire section of that. So he has a baseball bat, and that's pretty good too. So those are just the styles of fighting that you can do. So there's also a gauge, like a heat gauge, so like once it builds up enough you can do special attacks, and they're all pretty cool. So this is one thing I also knew prior, but before playing, is that Sega crammed like a ton of mini games into the thing itself. So you got games like bowling, baseball, karaoke. You got like a couple classic Sega games in there. Darts, pool. There's just a ton of stuff like that. And then aside from main story, there's also like sub stories, where you can just kind of like It's kind of like just like side missions to like kind of like see the people of the world, and it's something that I like as someone who likes side content in games. But those are all just minor things that usually each individual one can be completed within 20 minutes. But there's another like bigger side story that Kiryu and Majima have that is like way longer, but not as long as like the entire game. Where Kiryu is managing real estate, and Majima is managing a cabaret club. So that's just like the general explanation of just like how the gameplay works. So things I liked about the game. First off, I think the combat itself is actually pretty fun. Like, I talked about this a little bit in the past 2 videos I made with Xenoblade and Sonic Frontiers. Like, in those games, I kind of just either grew tired of it after a while, or just never really got too into it because I knew it wasn't that great. That is not the case with Yakuza 0. The combat was always good, especially when it came to bosses, which are more challenging. Because like most grunt enemies you see in the streets, you know, they're not really going to put up much of a fight, but it's just fun to watch the heat attacks and stuff like that. And they do get you a bit of money when you need some. Oh, this is something I forgot to mention earlier, but there is also, like, to upgrade Kiryu and Majima's abilities, there's, like, a skill tree for each combat ability, and then you can go to people who will teach you how to do them more. But I just forgot to mention that. So back to things I liked. This one I'm not going to talk too long about. It's just that the mini-games themselves are a nice addition to the game. Like a nice little break from the main story if you just want to do something not super related. That's about all for that, though. The music. Ooh, the music is, like, really good. I really enjoyed the music in the game. Even outside of, like, the things I did know, like, Baka Mitai, which is, like, that's just, like, the karaoke song. But, like, when it comes to, like, actual songs that are used in gameplay, they're all really good. Now, I can't think of one where I listened to it and I was just like, I don't really like that one. Like, they were all either, like, consistently good to, like, great. So, I like the music. Second off, or not really second off, but just next, the gameplay can actually be really challenging, in a sense that, like, it's not going to be too bad, but, like, if you don't learn really well the mechanics and how to do it, you will probably have a very hard time, because, like, there were some modes I didn't really care to use too much, for instance, the rush mode for both, like, Kiryu and Majima, I just didn't really use all that often. So, like, when I tried to use it, I just, like, got beat because I didn't know what I was doing, but then I went back to using, like, a standard, like, brawler style, and I was just fine because I knew how to do the combos and all the things that build up your gauge fast. And then especially when it comes to bosses, that's where it's really pushing you to your limits. I imagine if you didn't have healing items in the pause menu, there would be a lot not funner, but just, like, harder if you're doing, like, a no healing run or something like that. But they were good. I liked the difficulty of the game. This is one I also won't talk too much about, just because it relates to the plot. I don't really want to go over the plot too much. But the story in itself is actually, like, really good. It's, like, probably one of the best stories in a game I played all year. Like, at least in the top 4. Like, it's pretty good. Next off, the sub-stories that I kind of talked about, just as, like, little windows into, like, random events happening in the places where Kiryu and Majima are, because they're both in different cities. Kiryu is in Kamurocho, and Majima is in Sotenbori. Kiryu's in Tokyo and Majima's in Osaka. But what I'm trying to get at is the sub stories that, like, most of them I actually thought were like they're worth taking like 20 minutes of your time just to go through, because they're actually pretty interesting and fun to listen to and interact with. The side games too, the ones I mentioned earlier about the real estate and cabaret club managing, those are also really good, except sometimes they felt like a little bit grindy, but like that's just like a. But for the most part, like this, like the managing real estate and trying to sort of like just like fix the city as Kiryu is pretty fun, and then running the cabaret club with Majima is also great. Next, just like this sort of goes with me saying that the plot was good, but like the characters also are really good. And I feel like I just need to mention that also because in another video, the Xenoblade 2 video, I mentioned that I thought the plot was like alright, but like just like the characters didn't do it for me. But in this case, I think the plot did it and the characters were also great. So I'm happy that I enjoyed the characters in this game. Alright, so now for the cons. I've never had so little cons before, but I'm just gonna go over like the two I have. So the first thing I do have is some of the sub stories are like hard to access. I was trying to like do all of them, but I just couldn't. The only instance I can think of this is with Kiryu. He has to go to a telephone club in order to get certain sub stories, and apparently when I looked it up, some of them are just RNG, and even if you do it over and over, like it has like a really low percent of getting it. So I just kind of made an exception of like, okay, I'll do all of them, but the like ones I couldn't get after like trying like 5 times. And then the only other con I have is that Kiryu's side story, not sub story, the side story with the real estate, it can be kind of grindy, just because it's just basically just like earning money from the properties you own and then investing in them over and over. So, but then you have to like wait like 10 minutes before you can even collect the money. So I mean, like, if you have things to do in the 10 minutes, you'll probably be fine, but I did that close to the very end, and it's just me waiting for it to make some money so I could invest in it, and then do that over again until I leveled out all my properties. And then I donated most of the money to Majima so he could like fill out his skill tree. But that's about it for cons. Like, so overall, I can't really think I can give it a solid rating, just because this is like the first game, this is like the first 3D brawler I think I've like ever played that I can remember. Because most of the time when I give ratings, I give it in respect to like other games of that genre. So like when I was talking in my Xenoblade 2 review, like the 8.5 I gave it was like, out of a JRPG, I give it an 8.5. But like an 8.5 for a JRPG is not always equal to like, I don't know, like an 8 out of 10 from like a Metroidvania, just because I'm more biased to like that one a little bit more, because that's probably my favorite genre of games. But so I can't, until I play some more, I don't think I can just give it like its own like rating. So I guess I have to give it like an overall rating of like how much I liked it in comparison to like any genre game, which is a bit more unfair, but that's kind of just how it is. But I guess if I had to rate Yakuza 0, I would have to give it I'd give it a 91 out of 100. Overall, it was just like consistently great, but I didn't feel like any one particular area of the game just like managed to just go above and beyond to like an outstanding level.
I think one of the best things about Yakuza is one moment, something tragic happens, like someone dies, and then within like 10 minutes of gameplay, they're like at karaoke or doing something else, having the time of their lives. And while that sounds like it could be to the detriment of its story, I think that it really just encourages like the player to do whatever they want to do, whenever they feel like doing it. It's not always just like pushing you to do the main story or a side quest. It's really just like the freedom it enables someone to do like whatever they feel like doing at that moment.
That being said, I'm looking forward to playing Yakuza Kiwami in the near future. I hope I pronounced that right. And yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you thought. You might pick this game up. Honestly, I see this game for like $20 or below, so it's pretty cheap. If you felt like picking it up, or you have played it and you kind of agree with me or you disagree with me or whatever, let me know in the comments. That'd be appreciated. Any feedback. All right, thanks. Later.